movie review from MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and, of course, our Twitch stream. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our other co-host, John C. Walsh, is here as well. And the pet, Harley, is here too. You'll probably hear him snore later on. Welcome on in, folks. Thanks for joining us here on our YouTube channel, of course. And we are going to be doing a movie review. And we are going to be doing Ek to Tiger. This is obviously Salman Khan, Katrina Kaif. And it's directed by Kabir Khan. This is from 2012, yeah?
Yes,
so it's been a long time ago. But it's our first sort of venture into this.
That scares me when you say it's from a long time ago.
Tiger trilogy. So I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan now. After he has a little swig of beer, and he'll take you through this review experience. I'll still be here, folks.
One must wet the whistle.
Yes.
Must wet the tongue just to let it relax a little bit before we get into this review experience. I'm saying that in a sort of bastardised Scottish French accent.
I was going to get you that beer that was 8%, John, but I thought perhaps maybe not a good idea live.
I did all right last time, to be fair. But it relaxes you, makes it a more enjoyable experience. Stephen, speaking about enjoyable experiences, we obviously are semi, as the Americans like to say, as we like to say, semi.
Yeah.
Reverse engineering this sort of trilogy, this sort of franchise, the YGF Spy Universe, I want to say, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Because we have seen Patan already. We had a little glimpse of Tiger in the train carriages when him and obviously, I don't know if his name was Patan, but when him and SRK are wreaking havoc and he brings him his medication and I think it's a coffee. We seen what Tiger was about, so we had a sort of. And obviously we reacted to the trailers back in the day. People asked us to react to the sort of content relating to this universe. So we had a fair idea about the vibe. But reverse engineering it, Stephen, I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing in the long term, but certainly I'm glad I had that sort of hardened, different take on Tiger getting into this, because what we do get in this movie is a slightly different version of Tiger, which I'm sure we'll delve into.
An inconsistent Tiger.
Very inconsistent. A Tiger who, dare I say it, is not fully on his game for the entirety of this film. I think there's points in the film where he is on his game and he's wreaking chaos.
That's what love does to you.
Kicking ass.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. I've got a theory on that.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the sort of the vibes of the movie though, Stephen. I says that during the reaction. I'm sure people will have seen the reaction if they are here.
Yeah.
I liked the vibe, certainly the first 40 odd minutes. It was not what I was expecting. It was off-piste for me. I was expecting big bombastic action, akin to what we'd seen in the likes of Patan, Jawan, and even Leo to an extent. Not that kind of film though.
No.
What was your... So I'm just trying to go off piste here and do. It's not going to be a structured review. We're going to be conversational as ever. So I'm going to throw questions at Stephen throughout this, I'm sure. What was your mindset, Stephen, the first 25, 30, 40 minutes of this film? Were you like me, after having seen Tiger and Patan and seen what he was all about, this sort of guy who can take on half a dozen, 2 dozen men, were you slightly surprised at what Kabir Khan and Aditya Chopra and Neelash Mishra, the writers, had concocted with this film? Because it wasn't the big bombastic out-and-out action fest we've seen before.
Tonally, it's so different, the character, and obviously with the glimpse we did get him in Patan. But bear in mind that obviously this is 12 years previous, 11, 12 years previous, John. What I did get was obviously Bourne vibes and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and a bit of The Fugitive in there as well. But
spot on.
Also, I mean, there was comedic flair in there as well, and I think that sort of opening sequence where he was like going down the stairs backwards on the kind of little sledge thing.
It's very good.
It was very Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Some early 80s Jackie Chan sort of stunts involved in the sort of sequence, the fight sequences, but it's one of the things that you pick up right away, how good the choreography is for the fight scenes. Yeah. And it just gets better as the film goes on. It certainly does, you know. And I know we've not seen any other Salman Khan films, have we? We've only seen them, obviously, in Patan for that very short period. But it's a good introduction if you're just coming into seeing an actor for the very first time. And this is a good starting point for us. I'm pretty sure, and I saw in the comment section, people have said that, you know, the younger Salman Khan was fantastic. Well, a very handsome man, someone said in the comment section.
I searched it up. Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
you know, that's something that we do. We don't just go from a point and move forward. We will go back, and we've done it with obviously.
I think it was a bit harsh
telepathy
on
films.
Salmon, saying when he was younger he was a very handsome man.
He's
Trying
an
to
absolute
maybe
unit
hint
just
that
now.
he's a bit of a dog now. He's not a bad looking guy now. Even now he looks absolutely fine. And when he has that wig on and whatnot, he looks absolutely tremendous. Looks like Javier Bardem, as we did say. We'll get into that. That's one of my standout moments in the entire movie. Yeah, he has said was waiting for your Locacious Cooley title teaser reaction.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll do that.
Yeah, we might do it after this, actually.
weren't
Thanks very
actually
much for
aware.
that. Yeah, I didn't know.
Not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think I may have read that a couple of weeks back when we did Leo. Someone says it was dropping.
Yeah.
But it's obviously slipped to mind and we've
Yeah.
not done it. But I'm sure we'll get round to doing it. Perhaps after this, if we've got time. I think we will have, to be fair.
We'll try to be more succinct with these things, aren't we?
Trying, but we never seem to accomplish it,
Talking
Steve.
about beer and stuff.
We do, yes. I mean, I've already started it, talking about beer and how it relaxes the tongue. What the fuck are you doing, John? Nothing to do with Egg the Tiger. Stephen, you mentioned that sort of sliding down the stairs, double gun wielding moment at the start of the movie. Try to remember the exact start of the movie, how the movie started right at the beginning. I'm trying to remember. He was getting chased. I think it was the guy, wasn't it? His ex-colleague who had turned rogue for extra Spondulix money, as the rest of the world likes to say. We never say Spondulix here. Don't know why I said that. And he's hunting him down. You get that shot of him in the mirror behind him, and you get the paranoia. And then obviously his cohorts, who he's now with, give chase to Tiger, and then he has to slide down the stairs. But it was very impressive, Stephen.
Yeah.
And it's the one constant thing throughout this movie. There's some moments where the stunts look a little bit fake. Some of the jumps, you've clearly got Katrina Kaif doing the jump, and then the stuntman or woman takes over and they cut it. And I'm looking at that
My
just now,
Arrow,
My Arrow.
stunt double for Katrina Kaif,
There was a couple of dodgy moments where it was sort of diagonal jumps, vertical, and they're moving to the side. And I'm like, that's not how gravity works. That's not how physics works. I was never the best at physics. Wasn't something I was completely into. But I know that usually when you fall vertically, right down. You can't really, you can't slide to the side mid-air unless you're Luke Skywalker getting sucked into that huge trash thing on Investment in The Empire Strikes Back. That aside though, I think in the main, it was the one constant throughout. There's sporadic bursts of action and it is expertly handled by an impressively big stunt team. I mean, you look at the lead stunt rigger, stunt double, you've got about 30 people there, 40 people.
Yeah.
And that sliding down the stairs stuff, really sort of innovative ways of delivering action to the screen being utilised in this movie. Even the Range Rover having its roof cut off near the end, and you've got them wrestling for control of the vehicle, and they're hitting into the actual side rail things and whatnot. There's some impressive stunt work done in this, and I thought that moment you spoke about him sliding, obviously them sliding down using the door as well in the woods near the end. They utilised a lot of really interesting stunt. Whatever.
Someone can actually
Scenes.
had about 3 different,
Can't think of the word.
3-4 different stunt doubles. I'm not really sure what that was about. Probably camera angles more than anything.
Yeah,
You
the
probably
guy
had
in
a look-alike, like facially.
Guy in the Range
maybe-
Rover was like Ben Affleck.
Yeah, maybe the guy.
I noticed that. He's fucking huge.
Maybe the guy, that was, a similar build was another one. I think that's what they do. It depends on the sort of wide shots and angles and stuff like that. They've got to use different doubles just to make it look as convincing as ever. The whole runway scene as well, John, you talk about those effects. It looked kind of stick on. I'm not really sure if that was the case or if it was just the motion. I'm not really sure.
Even the scene in the lead up to that, where they're being chased by all the sort of, what is it, ISI? The Pakistani intelligence agency. And obviously, was it Raw, I think, the Indian one. When they're giving chase, it's not so much chase, he's trying to save, obviously, I'm blanking on a fucking name, terrible. Zoya, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They're trying to save Zoya at the end of the movie. Some of those moments, you mentioned it, Stephen, during the reaction. I didn't really notice it initially. But then when I started paying attention, I do feel, and I don't know if it's the case, because I suggested afterwards it may have been motion-related issues, and it was actually them. But I get the sense it was the stunt people, and they'd kind of crudely applied their faces or a likeness of them.
This is
10
years before deepfake, so
deepfake.
we can excuse that.
And I'm like, but it was kind of jarring when she pointed it out. I'm like, that It's fucking weird that.
It's like Arnie in Terminator 2 when he's coming down on the bike. It's a totally different guy.
Yeah.
Or Doc Brown
in that car
with the orange face.
Start of Back to the Future 2.
Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't really unsee it. It'd be fair though. Look, I thought the action in the main was pretty fucking good. The stunt coordination, the choreography, whatever you want to call it, very well handled. There's some really impressive long stunt scenes in this.
Yeah.
Like one shots almost, where they're going along the rooftops and they're working together. They're being chased. You've obviously got, as you allude to, the runway scene. Some of it nonsensical, but again, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some of the dislikes, not so much dislikes, but some of the negatives or the cons that we've got for this movie.
Yeah.
But I thought in the main, that was one of the standout things in this movie from a purely action point. Combining purely and surely, and I'm getting sheerly from a pure. And this is me with 3 sips of beer. Wait till we get to the end of this review. Experience. It's going to be an experience for me. From a purely action standpoint, I thought it was pretty fucking impressive. This movie.
I think it was.
It burst into it.
Yeah, tonally and frenetically, John. It was consistent throughout. Just in terms of the action, I think it was it was a chase for the whole film.
Yeah.
Almost in. You got the sort of jumping from country to country as well, which I said to you after we did the reaction. I says I don't mind that as long as it's necessary. It wasn't like the Beatles and Help, just want to go on vacation to Switzerland or the Bahamas or something like that. There was a purpose to it, and I understood the reason why they were going to Cuba. I understood why they were going to Dublin and that. But it was a sort of. What would you say? It's a tone that it changes, but I think you actually did say at one point, I think in the Cuba scenes, they've actually used the same theme, but used the Cuban instruments.
Hispanic sort of Latino.
It's fantastic.
On it. Yeah, it was really impressive.
And they did that. I think they did it in Ireland as well with the Irish sort of instruments, the fiddles and the penny whistles and stuff like that, and they just incorporated it so well. You mentioned, John, the soundtrack and the score. This is one of the best ones I've heard.
Very good score.
Yeah.
And this movie really did sort of aid the action we're seeing on the screen. And obviously some of the more tender, emotive moments between Tiger and Zoya just really elevated by a fantastic score throughout. And Stephen, I don't mind the globe-trotting aspect. This is an action movie. And like you said, almost a fugitive kind of movie. From probably about the 30-40 minute mark onwards. So that kind of necessitates you going around the world. And obviously in Dublin's case, he's going there for a mission. He's a secret agent. He has to go around the world. Going to Istanbul was to really reacquaint himself with Zoya.
Yeah.
And try and run away with her like a lovesick teenager.
Yeah.
But I like the globetrotting. It opened it up.
It did,
we've seen these kind of action movies before, not just from India, but from Western spheres as well, where it's mostly one location or 2 locations, and it feels small scale, feels claustrophobic. I like it when they open it up. It's like Mission Impossible. It's like fucking Bourne or something.
It's one of the very few sort of plus points of Sarkar, John. I think it was Sarkar. Pretty sure was the location. I think it was France. I might be wrong, but there was that film we didn't really enjoy. But the fact that the
political one.
They did change location.
I think they even filmed a song and dance number in
the airport,
in Poland, in Gdansk or something like that. Yeah. I like the globetrotting. I like that.
I like it if it's utilised correctly.
If it's necessary for the story. If you're just putting it in there to send your stars away in a free holiday, then not so much. But I think this story necessitated a globetrotting sort of experience. These are 2 people from rival intelligence sort of agencies, and the job title dictates they have to go around the world. I like that.
John, we see it with James
Bond.
It's good
seeing him in Dublin.
And although he's supposed to be an English gent, you see him in all over the world. And that why shouldn't it happen to an agent in India? You know what I mean? Exactly. But I thought the Irish scenes were fantastic, John, because I've been to Dublin, of course. I recognise a lot of the sort of locations that were utilised. That whole tram sequence I thought was fantastic. Yeah. Probably one of the best sequences in the film. And it didn't look
too easy, though.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that, but the actual, I don't think it was too much CG involved in that. No. Good sequences. And I thought that would have been pretty expensive to shut some of those streets off to do those sequences.
Yeah.
Certainly in Ireland.
Fucking expensive, yeah. Well, Steve, it was good. Off the back of watching Donkey, to see, and I'm not suggesting they didn't go to London for some of the stuff. Clearly they were on London Bridge, they were at the Houses of Parliament, so they were there. But some of the stuff was clearly stand-ins for London, and it was shot in a completely different fucking climate.
Country.
Not even country, climate. You could tell it was just. I know Britain. I've lived here my whole life. I know what it looks like. I can tell you what. I mean, I'm like one of these geoguesser people, but just specifically for Britain. I know when something ain't Britain.
I will credit them that they didn't do that old trick of stock footage.
Yeah.
You know, and it's grainy and it goes crystal clear when it's the sort of the stuff for the film. And they didn't do that there. But in terms of this film, I thought
it's clearly Dublin.
The locations were fantastic. The Cuban scenes, I'm not convinced it was Cuba.
No.
It might have been,
it was the
but
Dominican
I
Republic.
doubt it very much. I think it was Dominican Republic.
No, but Stephen, it was good. I liked that. I liked the vibe. Again, what I like most about this movie, and I have got some cons, and ultimately that'll be borne out in the actual rating I give the movie, the sort of gross rating I give the movie at the end, if you like. But I did enjoy a lot of aspects of this movie, and one of the things I really enjoyed was the decision to not give us an out-and-out action experience. Kabir Khan, Aditya Chopra, I'm going to give them their full Sunday names, Neelish Mishra, going ahead and giving us this sort of romantic experience. I mean, I don't know what genre they're saying this is. They're saying it is they're not giving us genre. Action, adventure, romance. That's exactly what it is. But giving us this sort of primarily romantic experience, but it's almost like, coming of age, love-struck fucking teenager kind of thing, but they're adults. It shouldn't work, but it did work in the context of this film. And just the way that they framed it, this guy was always on the job. I think it was 20 years or something. He'd been working fucking straight, barely any holidays. He'd saved up thousands in the bank, I think 2 million rupees or something, $47,000, something along those lines, if I'm remembering correctly. He was just so professional, all about the country and doing his best to ward off any attacks or whatever. The way they framed that, him having the conversation with his boss, Shinoy, I think it was, and then I'm going off on this sort of experience in Dublin and meeting Zoya and then finding love and going down that rabbit hole. Yeah. I liked that. I liked the way it was an alternative kind of action movie. I wasn't expecting it. I haven't seen the character in Patan. I was expecting Patan, whatever one, because that was the first one in this sort of universe. I wasn't expecting that experience, and I really enjoyed it. I liked that romantic thing. I liked the slow nature of a lot of the parts of the movie. Just him and Zoya spending time in Cuba, in the actual film universe, Dominican Republic in reality. Yeah. It was a different vibe. It was dead relaxing as a viewer. We mentioned it, the lifestyle on the beach, in the water, having a coffee, painting, lovely weather, just relaxed environment.
I think the writing as well, John, you've got to say was very good in the most. I think, in fact, I would say that they invested a lot of the writing in the character Tiger for the audience to really understand him, understand his principles, understand the kind of guy he is. There was 2 things, John, one that you called right and one that I called right. Yeah. Which it's very rare for us to get 2 things right in a film, but Zoya, obviously undercover, John, you called it, I think, 10 minutes before it was revealed.
It was kind of obvious, wasn't it?
And obviously the moment where you were supposed to believe that Tiger had shot her dead, and I just couldn't accept that. I was like,
I mean, I had accepted that, but clearly that's my mindset. I'm just a vicious bastard. Just fucking be done with.
Yeah, I just felt, I think we connected enough with the character to this point to understand him, and I thought that's a black mark if they go down that road with him. I don't think they should do that, because you've seen it many times before, John, with characters that you connect with, that you actually start to root for, etc. Growing up, it would have been the likes of Han Solo for me, and to be fair to George Lucas, he kept him on that straight road, although he was a scoundrel and he would, bend the rules and stuff like that. He did retract the whole Greedo shooting first thing because he didn't want to portray him as a cold-blooded killer, but he changed that.
I liked that though.
Yeah.
Because it meant that he had fell in with the right people. He'd found a vision, a cause to rally behind. Yeah. This guy, it was a no mark, if you like, whatever you'd call it, a wanderer, a lone wolf, had found something to fight for. And that was an evolution in the character.
I think for Tiger, though, the evolution was that that was the evolution,
Yeah.
that he didn't shoot her, because that was his job for 20 odd years, doing those kind of acts with, you know,
I think the
people.
evolution for him was that there was more to life than just working
Yep.
until you're a dead old man and bitter like Shinoy.
I think that's why the conversation at the start with Shinoy is very important in this, because he warned him. He says, just be careful that,
And in
you know.
fairness to Shinoy, at the end he says good luck.
Yeah.
So he almost has a begrudging respect for him.
Yeah.
For doubling down and going away with Zoe and deciding, look, I think it was the right mentality he had. It's like, look, I'll be with her on the run until these two countries get their acts together and stop acting like petulant toddlers throwing their toys out the pram, and just sit down with each other and have peace, a lasting peace, if you'd like. I know that's unlikely because that's humanity, and when you're dealing with raw materials and a beautiful place like Kashmir, then you're always going to have bad blood. Certainly when the British carved it up, by all accounts, back in the day and caused all of this bad blood. I know that's probably fantasy land, but I think it's a morally righteous cause that he's going on. Albeit he's met a lovely woman and he's wanted to settle down with her, and it's perhaps just an excuse. But I think the rationale for it is
the rationale is always there, John, in film. I think we joked about Rocky IV, but there's always. I think telepathy films do that quite a bit, where there is this idealistic interpretation of what the world should be like.
Yeah.
You know, and you not just his films, but you see it throughout films throughout the world. You know, and it's not a bad thing. It's a message more than anything. It's not saying this is an easy thing to do and it's possible. Anything's possible, but people have to want it, you know. And I know we're going down a kind of political road here, John, but I don't mind that. I don't mind that in any film. And in this film, I didn't mind it, because I think that's what most normal, sane people do want.
Yeah,
it's just peace. That, you know, that there's manipulators and greedy people out there, and I think
and obviously states warping people's minds into thinking that because this group of people stay across this particular imaginary line, they are evil, bad people, and we can never coexist. You can't have a relationship with them. You can't love them. They're the bad guys. And it's all bollocks. And Tiger and Zoya kind of deconstruct that in this story by showing that, look, they're two human beings. They both love each other. One's Pakistani, one's Indian. It's not wrong.
She definitely was more standoffish, though. She fought it more than he did. That's fine. I think that made it interesting. You know, the dynamics changed quite a bit between the two characters.
We were laughing at it.
You know, and just in terms of him being this sort of love-struck puppy.
That's one of the cons.
She was quite, you know, strong in sense, but then she did let her guard down as the movie went on. But there was moments, John, that I just felt, in terms of his character, which kind of were a bit inconsistent and a bit, really, you know, and you'll see it in our reaction if you watch it. There's just little moments I'm like, this guy's supposed to be, and he was, for the first 40 minutes of the film, the guy who just was 3 steps ahead of everyone, very nimble and just, you know, a good shot and a good fighter as well. And
flashbacks were fantastic.
Yeah,
every time she mentioned something, it flashback to I'm fighting women, assassins, flashback to the dogs, it flashback to something else. Yeah. And that gave you an indicator this early on in his particular story of what he was capable of.
Yeah.
If perhaps you don't get to see it in its fullest extent in this movie, you know that he's more than capable of fighting off people. Maybe and he's competent.
A Tiger prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
All that going on.
Recast though. Sadly, he's a little bit older now, Salmon. But no, Stephen, there is cons, and that is one of the cons for me. I'm not going to sit in the fence here, and I'm going to give my thoughts. And he's a little bit gullible at times in this movie. I have got an explanation for why perhaps he's gullible in this movie. I think, and I'll get into that in a moment, but for me, on a superficial level, he is gullible in this movie at times, and he lets his guard down way too often for someone who's supposed to be the top secret agent for Raw. Just the way he walks back from the Jeep and sits down, you said in the reaction, read the room for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by men.
It's
and then
face.
Obviously afterwards,
face tells it all. I'm like,
but afterwards he spots them all and he nods to them all. So he knows where they fucking are.
Again, John, that's comedy in that.
Yeah.
There's comedy in those sort of tense moments where he's actually nodding the head at the cup of coffee.
Yeah. He knows where they are.
Yeah.
So he's just momentarily letting his guard down. And I thought, I mean, I know it's suspension of disbelief in a movie like this, but a secret agent would not do that. They are switched on.
Yeah.
Even if they've let their guard down, they're away on this sort of fairy tale like honeymoon with someone they fell in love with. If the states are after you, two fucking extremely powerful states are after you, sending their best men, and you've just beat the shit out of and killed someone a couple of days earlier on, and you know that you've been captured on CCTV, they would not fucking act like that. Yeah. They just would. And the decision to go to the boxing match as well, what the fuck's going on here?
Hanging about, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, there was little weird inconsistencies in there, that's what I'm saying.
The camera, the CCTV.
Camera, yeah, he looks, it's time to go now, Zoya.
Looks like camera.
Fucking saying her name. Just little inconsistencies in there that
I think as well, the mugging, I'm like, they're blowing this out of proportion. You know, muggings happen all the time. And
I
they're
think he did kill, though.
They're getting the sort of top agents in to investigate this.
I think he did murder the guy that that put the blade to Zoya's neck, though. I think he actually killed him. He banged his head through the cash machine and killed him.
Sequence, yeah.
So that, I think that's why they are obviously looking.
Hi, Toxic Joker. How you doing?
Hello there. But Stephen, I've got an explanation for why perhaps he was a little bit gullible at times in this movie, and it goes back to what the conversation with Shinoy and obviously Gopi in the rooftop. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're on the job. You've got to stay on the job. If you start fraternising with people and finding love or whatnot, you're going to get distracted. You're going to lose that edge." And I think that's what we see. He's that infatuated with Zoya in this movie. He's
never felt these emotions before, so you could be right, John.
I think he's just let his guard down.
Yeah, it's a bit over the place at times, and that's probably what it is, you know.
Let's put it this way. When we watched the other movies in this spy universe, I'm guaranteeing Tiger is not like that again.
No, John, I did say as well, I think it was just when the sort of, I think it was when they were in Cuba, and I did say this is a good setup film. I don't know if they plan to do more films with a character or not at that stage, but certainly I think this is a kind of a setup to where they can go, and that sort of closing sequence where he is talking to Shinoy about as long as, you know, there's conflict, I'll be on the run. That kind of sort of gives you the vehicle for him to globetrot with Zoya. I assume Katrina Kaif is in the other two films. I can't remember if we checked that or not.
Looked, no.
But I would imagine she is. John, one of the interesting things is why we're talking about this film as a standalone at the moment, because we've not seen the other two films, is Kabir Khan is not the director in the sequels.
No, I think that's the correct decision, Stephen. I think you need to have a fresh sort of mind coming in and rejigging things and keeping a sort of sense of freshness in a franchise, if you'd like. Maybe one or two films
Mission
I can understand.
Mission
Impossible, you've got Christopher McQuarrie, he's done the last three. I think that's pushing it. And you can see that. I think it's going to be four he's done when it's all over. The last one didn't perform quite as well as the likes of Fallout and Rogue Nation before, I think. But prior to that, I think it was J.J. Abrams, and then it was different directors again. So it's not something that's out with the norm for an action franchise. They tend to jig them, or rejig them and freshen them up with also new directors. I'm trying to see if we have got...
Yeah, I see she's in Tiger 3, So that's good because I wasn't sure if perhaps maybe...
different directors every time. So it's not unusual.
I'm good because I'm glad of that. I'm good. I'm glad because the chemistry, and I mentioned that I think they've got good chemistry, these two actors with these two characters, and you can see they bounce off each other. Yeah. It's almost like a love, hate relationship. Yeah. It's mostly love, but there is that sort of, you know, both of them are equals. And you said that as well, John, through the chasings, through the rooftops in Cuba, just they work well together in terms of getting away from the bad guys. And you saw that where they were pulling each other up over the buildings and stuff like that. It was great, really good. Yeah,
I said that. I think, I can't remember what I said. I think it may have been something like, this is what you get when you've got two really top people at the top of their craft working together. Something along those lines. I'm heavily paraphrasing. Stephen, I tell you, man, I really enjoyed the middle part where they decide they're going to run away and they've got the disguises. That's perhaps one of my favourite things in this movie is the disguise of Tiger. Yeah. Just fucking not seen a transformation visually of a character like that in a long, long time. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. It looked like fucking Steve Buscemi, Javier Bardem, what's your man? Raul Julia. It's just totally different guy. Yeah. And we were kind of joking before, literally a minute before, you'd think he'd cut his hair or do something different. I says, put a wig on, have a beard. Literally a minute and a half later, he appears on the screen with long hair. He's got a fucking cravat or something. He just looks totally different. I'm like, this is wild. I was howling. Liam Gallagher with the glasses and the hat. He just looked totally different. It was absolutely brilliant from the costume makeup department. They done a fucking brilliant job.
Fantastic short hair look. I just thought it was amazing. John, there was times, and it was probably at that moment there was a sort of flipping of the story where we were like, is he getting double crossed again? You said, I think it's a double cross, which it turned out it was. Yeah, that's two. You got right, John. Better than me. I was going on about a twin at this point. I was like, is that a twin she's got? I don't really understand what's going on here. That was
when she gets shot, though. We weren't sure if she died or not. I didn't know they were in a relationship. That's interesting. Well, you can see that. You can sense it in the movie. They have got great chemistry
in real life.
I don't know if it's in real life. Right, okay. Well, I imagine it would be. I don't know.
Katrina Kaif not with...
She's with Vicky Kishal now, but I think she married him relatively recently.
All right, okay.
It was like the last 2 years or so, 3 years. I mean, Vicky's put well there, as I did say during the reaction. Katrina, good looking lass. Looked good in the kilt as well, I did say. I cut it out because I can't be putting that much profanity in. No, it was just me swearing.
All right,
okay. She looked better than the such and such is behind her, the actual Scottish people in the kilts. Clearly, we need to give up our own tradition and give it to better looking people because we're all fucking dogs in this country, and I include myself in that. No, Stephen, that was an aspect in a sort of superficial level, the disguises, but what it represented in that particular bit of the movie, just the backstabbing, lack of trust between these two, not 100% certain they were batting for the same team. And Tiger was obviously overheard her in the market speaking to her superiors at ISI, and he's like, oh shit, am I getting crossed again there? He points the gun, she's like, I didn't recognise you. And he's like, but I recognised you. She didn't pick up on that, but I fucking did. There was a lot of mistrust, and I like that. I love that shit. That's why I love Krycek and X-Files so much. I like a character that's willing to flip-flop all over the place and is morally sort of
Zoya was all that, definitely. She was all that. She was, I mean...
It adds an edge to the movie.
I think as well, you've got to remember the perspective of the storytelling as well, that they're going to make her the sort of flip-flop, sort of, I don't want to say backstabbing, because I think it was a bit of both of that. He lied. He said he was a writer or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But there's that...
She didn't lie about her name.
She didn't? No, she didn't at all. I can't remember what he said his name was. Can you remember?
Manish or something like that.
Yeah. Good memory. I just felt the sort of early sort of days of their relationship was very interesting. It was very romantic, very Notting Hill, and you just knew at some point it was all going to go sour. And I think by that time, John, you said, I think she's an agent.
Yeah, I just had a sense because she had access to the professor's house and no one else did.
And the professor, the whole professor thing was just a sort of decoy. I think that was just to lead you down the wrong path.
To bring these two characters together, Stephen, that's what it was for.
I think I said, is she his cleaner or something like that? It's like, what's going on here?
Stephen, that kind of brings us on to the next point, a question I'm going to ask you here about this movie. Did you think it was the correct decision by the director and the writing team to not go for a traditional villainous sort of character in this movie? Because when you actually think about it, the States are almost the villains. They end up going on the run. It's almost like The Fugitive. And you've got
that's exactly it.
What was the good guys at the start of the movie, Raw, and even the bad guys, ISI, they're almost working together in cahoots to track them down.
Was Tommy Lee Jones, Sam Gerard, a bad guy in The Fugitive?
No, he was doing his job.
Exactly. And that's what I took from this. When I was watching back our reactions over the last few days, and we were talking about that quite a bit, about not a major villain, and you don't have to have that all the time, especially in a film like this, which is more about on the run. It's a cat and mouse game where your sort of main characters, they've done bad things, they've done good things, all of them. And I think it's just a case of you choose who you're rooting for, and obviously it's going to be Tiger, it's his film, and it's just enjoying that chase. There doesn't have to be a main villain, a Vader in every sort of action film that you get. But yeah, I mean, I think that was the right decision. I think I wasn't concerned at any point. There's been a lot of films, John, we've watched, and we've wondered, who is the villain in this? Because I'm not too convinced that this is a convincing villain. And sometimes you go down the road, I overthink it and think, I think there's someone behind this person because I don't buy them as the main villain in this film. I didn't really get that in this film whatsoever. I felt it's just one of those cat and mouse films We've seen it time and time again. I think The Fugitive is probably the best example of it. I think they did it very well, because I didn't really dislike the other characters, the ones that were chasing him, because they had a job to do. The only thing I didn't really understand was that they wanted him dead because of the information in his head. That information is going to be there. I mean, they're talking about his retirement. I'm like, well, if he's retiring, he's still going to have that information in his head. So how do you work that out? Does he have to sign a
non-disclosure act?
Could be, yeah.
I think it was more the fact that he was in cahoots. He was in a relationship with someone from the Pakistani intelligence agency. I think if it was anybody else, they wouldn't have bothered so much. But the fact that it was a rival, the rivals in the intelligence game, and one of their top agents, and they didn't want them together in case they also took information back to that rival intelligence agency, because that would be really bad for India. So I think that was the reason. And maybe a bit of bitterness, that's a fucking tongue twister, from Shenoy as well, because he admitted at the start of the movie he had a love interest, but he gave everything to the country and to his duty, and he threw that opportunity away.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he resented Tiger, who he thought was his top guy, a guy he'd created, sort of abandoning them for the first bit of Pakistani leg, if you like, that came along. If you're allowed to say that, I don't know. But Stephen, Magnum Force is another example for me of a movie that has a villain within, almost. It's not got a traditional villain. It's like the traditional good guys almost going after your protagonist. It's not real. I mean, they are villains because they're going out and killing people, these sort of motorcycle policemen, but it's almost like it's spearheaded by the top guy, the chief in the police force in that film. And it's unexpected, and it's not a usual villain. It's one of the good guys in a sense that takes on the villainous role, and that's what we get in this movie. It's the two agencies, and Raw in particular, that sort of turn predator and start chasing after our two heroes. So I didn't mind that. I didn't mind not having a traditional villain. I did question it a few times. I think I may have cut it out, the reaction, because I didn't want to look like a fool. And that's what you'll find with our reactions. A lot of things will not make the final cut. If I find out that I've been talking absolute shite, right, I'm going to make myself look good.
Make me look really bad.
No, I make you look good as well, Steve.
Until I actually say it.
Yeah. You need to remember, Triple R, I done a fucking god tier level edit
to
cut out
my
the stuff about free people.
Yeah, where's this third guy? It's Triple R.
I cut it in a way where it's like there's only ever two
Robert,
people, and we both
Roger
do that.
and Ross. There's Triple R. Where are they? Where are they? There's only two of them. Went over my head. I really did.
I mean, I try my best, but to get it, but sometimes mistakes will be made or whatever.
John, I'd say your editing's pretty good. I mean, I think you were really tested with the Jim Carrey breakdown we had in the audio days.
Yeah, early days,
which you had to sort of piece together.
That was down to me, though.
Put in order. Let's go back to
Get back to
Liar.
Liar. Constant. Obsessed with Liar. It's not even my favourite Jim Carrey movie. Fucking Christ, man. As a kid, probably The Mask. In retrospect, probably not. Probably Ace Ventura. It was Ace Ventura, 100%. I digress, Stephen. I'm trying to think of other aspects of this movie. Obviously, on a technical level, really impressive film. And this is 12 years old, this movie. So it's not... But again, this is a North Indian movie, so probably not bogged down with the same issues in terms of financial insufficiencies, if that's a word.
I would say a film from 2012 from the West would be exactly the same. With technical
but
stuff.
The south of India, like your Tamil movies, your Telugu movies, they weren't getting the kind of income or the sort of the budgets to make a movie on a par with Western output. So when you go back and watch a Telepathy movie from 12, 15 years ago, it's nowhere near the standard of a Hollywood movie from 12, 15 years ago, whereas a Salman Khan movie from 10, 15 years ago, because it's the north of India, Bollywood's always been the biggest industry. It's had the most income. It's more in touch with an international audience. They tend to have had more money thrown at their movies for a longer period of time. So when you go back, it's of a very high standard. This film is absolutely on a par with any Western movie.
Definitely.
There is some issues, as I said, with stunts and decisions to have them jump diagonally when they're falling. Like they're falling and landing on a ledge or something.
Some of the creative choices, John, in the film throughout was probably the reason that we will talk about in our obviously our rating of the film was some elaborate decisions made by the characters in the film. The airport, getting on that plane, I just felt was a bit dragged out. And I just
yeah,
felt,
but before we get into the technical stuff,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that, Steve.
Yeah,
That's another major con.
there was many of them though. I think that's the one
Yeah.
that sort of stands out because it was at the end of the film.
He's on a fucking high-powered bike.
I get that they want to build the suspense.
Yeah,
I get they
yeah.
want to, but there's a way of doing it.
But don't have him on a motorcycle that can go 200
then you're
200
thinking,
miles an hour.
Right, that's it. No, we're going to shoot him as well now.
Yeah.
And it just dragged on too long, I felt.
That got me thinking as well. He gets shot in a really dangerous fucking place. He
It
gets
didn't
shot in
make
the
sense
back.
why he didn't go on the plane with her. I still don't
No,
understand that.
I mean, Stephen, I understand they're trying to build tension.
Yeah.
There has to be jeopardy and stakes at the
Yeah.
end of a movie. You can't have a movie like this where they're
They
being
just go on the plane and
chased.
that's it,
Yeah.
I get that, but it's just the way they do it. It's wrong.
But
I
the
just felt
decision to put them on
yeah.
that motorcycle and then just have them loitering along at like 20 mile an hour on a bike that I know, and I'm not even a bike guy, but I know people who are bike guys, and in particular an Indian guy who I'm.
He might
Well,
as
almost
well
like
have
a
been
brother
on
to me.
Lloyd Christmas's little bike.
Yeah.
That little thing at the end of Dumb and Dumber.
It's
Because
rapid.
it was weird.
That bike is fucking insanely quick, and you see at the end when he's chasing the plane after he decides I've got something to fight for. He's fucking zooming along. He could have left them in his dust 10 minutes earlier. So that was a strange decision from the writing team to put them on a motorcycle that is so much quicker than those fucking jalopy BMW and fucking
Volvo, yeah.
cars that were giving chase. There's no way they can keep up with that bike. It was a strange decision.
Yeah.
There is a couple other ones in the movie that are a little bit strange. The decision making at times, as we did allude to with Tiger in particular. He's supposed to be a top agent and he's just making some dubious decisions, shall we say. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I understand they're trying to build tension, but yeah, that did take me out of the movie a little bit. It's like, why the fuck is he not just driving that bike at its full potential?
Yeah, I mean,
does he want to get killed?
I think what you want to do in those scenarios is you want your audience to be sitting on the edge of their seats. Where I was getting frustrated more than sitting on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, come on, just. It wasn't a case of get on the plane. It was just, what's the next thing that's going to stop him getting on this plane?
What was the other one? There was another one where I was getting angered. There was another one.
Yeah.
But it was almost fucking distracting me. I'm like, right, I have to stop talking about this. There was another one. Obviously, the chase sequence in Cuba as well, where he decides to push the sort of wooden frame with Zoya on it.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why? Just stay together. You'll do better together. Why are you separating? It makes no fucking sense to me.
2 minutes before they were doing really good.
Yeah, and now I'm just going to save you and I'm just going to get my fucking the shit kicked out of me here. Strange. Yeah, there was another one, I can't think of it. But Stephen, I mean, this is nitpicking. Obviously, I mean, you've got to suspend disbelief with a movie like this. It's a big action sort of bonanza with romantic elements in there. And when you get to those action sequences, you've just got to go with the flow and not overthink it too much. You could do the same thing with a Marvel movie or even Tom Cruise. Why is Tom Cruise hanging onto the side of a plane? Why is he fucking chasing this guy with his hands on a nuclear bomb, the detonator of a nuclear bomb in a helicopter? It just, the decision making goes out the fucking window.
It has to.
In an action
It
movie.
has to,
Why is
times again.
Keanu Reeves, why is his John Wick character fucking driving round the Arc de Triomphe with no doors on his car, shooting people? It makes no fucking sense. We just go with the flow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it did kind of take me out of the movie, though. I have to admit. Technically, what did you make of the visuals, Stephen? I thought, as I said,
Yeah.
on par with Hollywood stuff.
I really enjoyed it, John. I think you saw it within the first 30, 40 minutes how enjoyable the sort of technical aspects were going to be in terms of visuals. Camera angles were fantastic as well. And the action sequences, I'm not sure who the editor was, but the editing throughout this film was really good. Really, really good. Some of the transitions that they made were really good as well. But I think just the editing by
Rameshwar S. Bhagat.
Yeah, well done.
These glasses are so fucking dirty, there is no point me even
And
wearing
the cinematography, just the locations that you saw, the sort of wide shots, I think they captured it really well. I think as well, shooting in real locations as well. The cinematographer, Asim Mishra,
did a brilliant job,
did a really good job because I get, and because I used to work in our city centre here in Glasgow, and they were doing World War Z at the time with Brad Pitt, and the amount of disruption that causes a city just for so small scenes. Because I think there was only maybe about 2 minutes of Glasgow in that. This was longer. We were in Dublin for quite a long time in this film, and some of the big landmarks that they put in the film as well were very surprising. So you've got to commend them for that as well, for the sort of location scouting.
Though. What are you doing?
The location scouting in this film was really good.
It
Cuba was, I know it was obviously Dominican Republic, but it's stunning to watch. And it reminded me of it, not in the same sort of technical aspect, but the Emma Stone film we watched not that long ago,
Things, yeah.
where the scenes were changing because of the locations. Sometimes it's just refreshing to go somewhere else with these same
refreshing
characters.
For the actors as well, Stephen, because it gives them a new location. They're actually physically interacting with tangible things. They're on location. It's not a green screen or a blue screen in a studio somewhere, and it's just cramped and it's not real and it's not tangible. I think that's why Christopher Nolan in particular likes to work on location with actors as much as possible. Yeah. Because it allows the actors to gain inspiration from things that are happening around them. You get
a real reaction from them as well.
So it's almost always better to work on an actual location in a film as opposed to in a studio, if you can get away with it. And they certainly did it in this. They did it in the Cuban stuff, they did it with the Irish stuff, they did it throughout the movie.
There was another technical part, I don't know if it's technical or not, or just well written, but there was a moment in it where they broke the fourth wall. Not him looking at the camera for his flashbacks, but the other moment where, what was his sidekick called? He's
Gopi.
Gopi said, "Were you dancing there?"
Oh, that was fucking good. Yeah,
that was so clever. I've never seen that done in an Indian film where it's a case that it's not supposed to be part of the story. It's not supposed to be segmented. It's not. You know how we've seen a lot of Indian films where
Kalapathi's a dwarf and whatnot.
The musical sequence is part of the story. It's to sort of cut down on a lot of the exposition. So they put a musical number in, but it's part. This was not part of the story. It was just in there, and then it was what? No.
Was it Kaifi?
It might have been Kaifi.
Obviously, Talapathi gets married and has a kid, and then also the kid, they kill his wife and try to kill his kid as well, but the kid survives. I think.
Yeah. Is that the one in the bath?
So,
they're in the water.
That was Kaifi. Yeah. Pretty sure it was Kaifi.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best examples of a musical number in an Indian film, condensing a good 40 minutes worth of storytelling into a 4 or 5 minute song and dance number and doing it brilliantly. I've always really enjoyed that about Indian cinema, and this journey we've went on over the last 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been. They're the masters at condensing so much storytelling into a tiny little song number.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was brilliant.
I liked that.
Noticing that, I'll just recognising there was a song and dance number in the film universe. It's like, were you fucking dancing there? What are you doing? And he's looking back confused like, what? Dancing?
I liked that.
What are you talking about? That was a great little moment. And I liked the breaking of the fourth wall. You kind of touched on that. I don't know what the context was about breaking the fourth wall. Maybe Deadpool or something.
Yeah, I think it's because he was looking at the camera when he was doing the flashbacks. Yeah. When someone mentioned something, I went, oh, no.
But it was also Patan as well. We spoke about that. Him and SRK talking about up-and-coming actors, who can replace us when we get too old to do it. He can't do it, he's not good enough, it'll just have to be us that continue on for now. Kind of breaking the fourth wall and talking about real-life things in the film universe. If that's like you to do that, it's pretty fucking cool. Editing.
Full of themselves.
yeah. But they're probably right, to be fair. Yeah. Although, what is he, 58 now? I don't know. No, he's not that old, is he, Salman?
I'm not sure.
SRK's 58. Salmon, I think's maybe I think he is about 50 odds. I think I worked out he's 45 in 2012. 12 years ago, 56.
Yeah, slightly
57.
Younger. Yeah.
So he's a little bit younger, but I was going to say Ranbir Kapoor technically could be someone that could come up. We've seen him doing it in Animal, but he's like 40 odds now, so he's not a young actor by any means. But the editing was very good, Stephen. And a movie of this out where you're globetrotting, you've got a lot of locations and characters are being chased throughout the movie. I thought did a good job of making it coherent. It wasn't an overly long film. I want to say it was about 2.5 hours. I think the running time's officially... No, it was even less than that. It was about 2 hours and 8 minutes, yeah. So it was pretty fucking short for an Indian
But I think
movie.
That's good running time for an action film.
And a film of this kind...
You're welcome in these type of films.
And of this kind as well, Stephen, where there isn't a traditional villain. It's almost as you said perfectly, it's a foundational film. They're laying the groundwork for future movies by introducing your two main characters, the main players in the intelligence sort of agencies, your Shinois, your Gopis. This is a perfect length for a movie of that kind, and I thought the editing was pretty bang on. Cinematography, fucking beautiful looking movie, some brilliant action in there, some dodgy decisions being made by the, I'm going to say, the stunt choreography team. stunt coordinators. But the cinematography was brilliant. We obviously already mentioned the score. Sahid Wajid, Sohail Sen. I have butchered that. I do apologise, but I thought the score was really, really good. One of the best I've heard in a long time. Acting, Stephen.
Yeah.
Standout performer. I don't think as clear cut as you'd think it would be.
John, you mentioned
usually in a movie of this ilk, it's the main guy, but I thought Katrina fucking Kaif was very, very good in this film.
I think so as well. In terms of acting, I think probably it would go to her slightly.
Just think about when they're looking at the sort of shooting stars, and she's talking about her father passing away.
Yeah,
real emotion in there.
There was some moments that I just felt that she held her own. This is her first film with Salman Khan. I'm not saying he's not a good actor just by naming her sort of performance slightly better, but I don't know what it was. I think there was just more for her to do in terms of emotions in this film, in terms of range and reacting. She was there to react, Tiger, and I think she did it very well. I would probably say she just edges it for me. I know that's probably I disagree. A lot of people might not agree with that because it's a Salman Khan film. He was fantastic, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's done better acting in other films as well, but for me, I just get that her character had someone good to bounce off of. So you can kind of say in a roundabout way that, you know, Salman's character helped her sort of shine a little bit better.
He was pushing her buttons, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Listen, I thought it was refreshing for Katrina Kaif to obviously come into a movie of this ilk where you have got a big name leading actor and almost get a similarly sized role to said leading actor, and you don't just become the throwaway romantic interest, a sort of tangent for the main guy, and then he gets back to business for the rest of the movie, which we've seen in other movies with some brilliant actors like Samantha and Trisha and whatnot. Being obviously in Triple R, one of the very small cons that I had in that movie was, I'm blanking on her name, it's not Pooja Hedge, it's called, what was she called? She was in The Other Gangster. I'm going to have to say it, shut up. She played a gangster in a movie, like a street.
Oh, I see.
Ali Abad.
Ali Abad, yeah.
She was an afterthought.
I'm trying to think of the
actress
actress that was in Animal as well, who was really good.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, can't remember. But there's been, you're absolutely right,
She was
John.
very, very good though. It was Rashmika Mandanna. Yeah. She was very good in Animal. She was almost fucking better than Randy.
Saw the blind pianist film. It was really good. It was the leading actress in that film as well. She's quite a famous actress.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name. I think it's a one word.
It is, yeah.
It's a one word.
It is, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. But again, I like
Taboo.
Yeah. I just think that, you know, if you get a strong female lead in a film as well, it just adds to a good quality sort of cast.
It was good to see it.
And as long as they're not disposable characters, and definitely Zoya in this case wasn't.
Well, she was.
She could have had her own filming.
She could have.
That's how good the character was.
And again, that's important, Stephen, moving forward for this franchise. I've obviously not seen the other movies. We've had comments, and I think it was. I'm going to read his name just now twice. Toxic Joker, shows you how fucking blind I am. Jesus Christ. I'm looking into a Moonlight, to be fair. Toxic Joker did say that 2 is amazing, but 3 is not so good.
Yeah.
But when you're laying the foundations with characters like this, sort of stands you in good stead. Is that the right place? I don't know. Moving forward, because you've got a solid cast there to build off of, and then you can drop in a big villain and have some adversity for these characters, and you know you've got the actors there that are going to flex their thespian muscles, if you like, and give their best. But Katrina Kaif was brilliant. Salman Khan was fucking good as well, man. He was the main guy in this. He had some brilliant moments, standout moments, but for me, the most emotive acting came from Katrina, so I'm going to have to give it to her. As my standout. Stephen, final thoughts on this film. Shall you go first? Shall I go first? I'll actually change my rating, by the way.
I'll go first. Yeah, I knew you would, John, because just been listening to you talking about the technical stuff, I thought it might be the case.
Fucking not enough cons for me.
We kind of discuss our ratings before we come on, guys, just so you know, but we do say that it might change as the discussion rolls.
It's not getting up that much, but it's getting up.
No, but John, this film, I went into this with high expectations because of the community highly rates this film, highly rates the universe it was created in, highly rates the trilogy as a whole, and highly rates the actors. I wasn't disappointed. I'll be honest. I wasn't disappointed. Was it the greatest action film I've ever seen? Probably not. But that doesn't mean it was a bad film. It wasn't a bad action film. It was a really good action film from start to finish. I felt the pacing of it was really good, frenetic and consistent from start to finish. In terms of character, that's probably where I've maybe got slight issues. I've got slight issues with obviously the main character, Tiger, at this moment. I know you've got some reasonings for some of his behaviour, John, at times.
I'm waiting for excuses.
But I don't think so. But I just think there was some inconsistencies and some frustrations with the way he was sort of acting at times.
Yeah.
Just the character, I mean, not Salman Khan's acting, but the characters, just the way he was behaving in certain scenes, I just felt was a little bit off for a special agent who they're normally very sharp. You know, there was just, I don't know if it was maybe just the distraction of being in love. I don't really know. I don't think that was kind of narrated well, if you like, from any of the other characters, the ones that were pursuing him. Perhaps you're not thinking straight, you know, because you're in love. They never really addressed it, the reason he was being like. But I think Ruttles. But I think I had an enjoyable experience. That's all you can ask for from an action film. And the romantic sequences throughout this film as well weren't cringeworthy or anything like that. I don't think it felt forced in any way. I think there were good chemistry in there. For me, in terms of technical aspects, I think that's where the film shined the most. I think in terms of cinematography, choreography, fighting sequences, the editing, it was all very slick. In terms of my rating, it's probably about a 6.8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. No, Stephen, look, my one takeaway, I was surprised with this movie. I thought it was going to be an out-and-out action experience. I thought we were going to get similar to what that cameo was in Patan.
Yeah.
Just larger than life, throwing bodies out the way, and it's just boom, bang, 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 frenetic. Big villain comes in, gets slapped about eventually, flexes his muscles for maybe an hour and a half, and then gets slapped down in a climactic sort of battle, if you like. But that's not the kind of movie this was, and I've got to commend the writing team and also the director for doing a slightly different foundational kind of film for what they obviously envisaged was going to be a future franchise.
Yeah.
They probably had it sort of mapped out what they were going to do with this character, and obviously Hrithik Roshan, I think, what they were going to do, ultimately bringing in SRK at some point, maybe not thinking about that, to be fair. That's over a decade into the future. But I thought it was clever to give us Zoya, also Katrina Kaif, brilliant actor in their own right, starring alongside Salman Khan as Tiger, and giving you almost a romantic fucking film where the action's an afterthought. But when you get the action, it fucking punches, and it punches hard. I liked the way that they structured it. I thought it was different. Some brilliant humour in there. I don't know if it was intentional at times, but there was some brilliant humour in there, and I've laughed a lot during not just the watch along, but actually the editing as well. It was a thoroughly enjoyable film to edit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm editing the film, but our reaction to the film, I have to stress, I'm not in the editing team.
But
I really enjoyed editing it, and that's the highest fucking praise I can give to any film, because a lot of the stuff we've reacted to, I've enjoyed watching it the first time, but when it comes around to editing it, it is a fucking almighty ball ache, man. It takes forever, and you can feel every minute.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case for us. I really enjoyed editing it because it was funny, and our reactions to it, I thought, were pretty funny, whether people like them or not, because I know some people don't like us laughing at things. Well, fucking shock horror, we do laugh at things, and I find humour in a lot of sort of dark moments when people are having things happening to them.
Yeah. Why is that guy in the left laughing?
Yeah, I laugh all the time. There was a bomb about to go off in Family Man. I was laughing at it. Someone commented recently, they're laughing not just in the funny moments, but the serious moments as well. Welcome to MBE, bitches.
Yeah.
That's the way I roll. So I'm not going to change. So that's the highest praise I can give it. I enjoyed the pacing. I enjoyed the way they structured it. It was unique. Is it the best film I've ever seen? Absolutely fucking not. It's not even the best film I've seen in the last month, because we have seen 12 Fail and Leo, which I thought was better. I don't know if it's... Is it even... I don't know. Is it better than Donkey? I even now I'm thinking about it. I don't think so. I think Donkey... So for me, Donkey, I rated Donkey a 7, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm ultimately going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Thought it was a good film. I didn't regret watching it. Flew by in the blink of an eye. It was well structured, and I'm looking forward to what they give us moving forward.
Can't wait. Yeah.
In this universe, YGF Spy Universe, I think that's what they call it. So 6.5 for me. I think Steam gave it a 6.8. I think that's fair. And in actual fact, when you go in and look at IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, look at the ratings.
Yeah, 5.6.
Probably rated 5.6.
Yeah.
So we've gave it fucking a full point more.
John, I think the whole Tiger trilogy is roughly about the same 5.6.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
you
I'm
find that
surprised about,
reaction,
but I
to be
think
fair.
action films. You've got to be really into them. Like horror films, you've got to be really into them to enjoy them, and not across the sort of general audience. Not everyone's into that kind of thing.
Precisely. That's going to round it up though. I can't believe it's been over an hour.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on Egg the Tiger? What was your thoughts on the story, the structure, the technical stuff, everything? Your rating of it, thoughts on our watch along, anything you want to share down below that's not Assy Man. That's a joke that's never going to grow tired or old, even though he's not appeared on the channel in well over a year now. I always remember Assy Man. Don't comment that, but anything else you can put down below in the comment section. That's the place to put your thoughts. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes for future content like this, reviews, reactions, everything in between. Same thing over on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there, whatever the fuck it is. Even though I don't know, because I follow and watch the same Twitch channels every single night, day. I don't follow anyone now, so I actually have forgotten how to follow on Twitch. I think it's a little love heart, so you can hit that if you're over there. Like and follow the Spotify podcast. I'm not actually doing anything just now, but like it anyway.
Back,
And thank you to everyone in the comment section, and the Toxic Joker, and whoever else has been in that I've perhaps missed. I think there's only been 2, but thank you to them. You're appreciated. We appreciate you, and we do, despite that joking voice. All that's left to be said, though, is until the next time, thank you once again for watching us, and bye-bye.